right into this and share something, as usual, unscripted and unplanned, right from the heart, on a topic that might cause a little controversy. And that is this: many of us do things because we feel that we ought to do them. That may be what we do in our personal life or our professional life or our family life, right? There may be things that we do. And a lot of the things that we do because we feel we ought to do them. And I want to, by way of an example, to convey an important point that I think should underlie everything that we do, that is more important beyond what we think we ought to do or why we ought to do something. I want to convey this point by using the example of an important day called Ekadashi. So Ekadashi is a day where in the Hindu calendar people fast. It's also known as Agyaras. And I'm using this as an example. The act of fasting. Many religions have the act of fasting, and people go and they fast on these days. Fast for a day, fast for a week. And Ramadan is has been on recently. So people fast in their religions or cultures. Some people do it even if they're not religious. And what I want to get to the heart of is not the fasting because we think we ought to, but the underlying reason. You see, most people are fasting because they think that they ought to do it, or they want to get some kind of gain, and they do it. But what I want to say is this: what is the point of doing all these kinds of fasts and abstinences when your character and your thinking and your outlook doesn't change? What is the point of praying to God and doing things to please somebody up there when we go back to our own habits and ways of thinking? What are we doing? You know, in the ancient Indian scriptures, one great king says that this is like the elephant who bathes himself in water and then just goes back in the dust and dirt and rolls around in the mud. Like, what is the point of bathing yourself and clearing yourself if you're just going back in the mud and just covering yourself with mud? It's an analogy. It is a message for us that if we are not actually looking at the deeper meaning, the intent is the word, the message of this video. If our intent isn't proper, if it isn't aligned, if it isn't for our highest good, then what is the point of all this fasting? And for whom? Think about that. What have you done in your life because you think that you ought to do it, but actually it hasn't served the greater good? It hasn't served your highest good. It hasn't served the good for people around you because the intent wasn't proper. And so I want to put this to a lot of you people out there who may be religious, and with the highest respect, why do you do what you do? Are you doing it because you feel you ought to do it and that the intent isn't clear? So there is a disconnect between what you're doing and why you're truly doing it, not because you've been told to do it by your family, your parents, your religion, but the real intent, the intent that aligns with you, your God-given right as a sovereign being. Are you doing it for the right reasons, or are you doing it because you've just been told to do it? See, when we shift from what we think we ought to do to the things that we know are aligned for our highest good, changes start to happen. They first start to happen on the inside, subtly. People outside may even criticize us for stopping things. So Ekadashi, for example, is coming. It's a great day for fasting. I used to fast on Ekadashi, and I used to do it because I just read that it's important. The scriptures say it so. But I used to realize that my character wasn't changing. I wasn't improving as a person. And yes, there are many benefits for fasting. Physiologically, there are many great benefits for fasting. And if you're doing it for that intent, you want to fast because you know you get great benefits from doing that physiologically, all the benefits of intermittent fasting, great, knock yourself out. Then you're in alignment. You're doing it with the intention that you have checked in with yourself. You've checked in with the intention. You've aligned yourself with that intention. Then you're fasting for that reason. Great. But if you're fasting and you're not really clear and you're not with your intent, or your intention is not aligned with your highest good, then it's of limited value. And that's what I found it was for me. And therefore, these days, I prefer to act in a way that aligns with the right intention. What is the right intention? The right intention is what you in your heart know to be good for you, that will bring about goodness for you and by extension for people that you care for. What is that intention? And how can we use the power of intentionality, here used in the example of fasting, but how can we use that power of intentionality and bring that into our day-to-day existence? Whether it's for fasting for a religious reason, whether it's for working out, whether it's for abstaining from something that we know is not good for us, whether it's actually exerting ourselves and doing something. Even people who do work for charity or give money away for charity, are you doing it with the right intention? Are you doing it because you want some good karma? Are you doing it because, you know, that's what it makes it assuages your guilt? Is that why you're doing it? What's the intent? See, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes that when we do things with the correct intent and alignment with the divine, then the right kind of results come. But we're not expecting the results. We're not even attached to them. We're working with intention, clearing and purifying and refining our intentionality constantly. And Jesus Christ, it's a hard thing. I find it. I still drop into my old ways, and the intention sucks at times. And I have to self-check and say, hang on, what's my intention here? Is my intention just and right? It's a lifetime's work. It is a lifetime's work, but it is worth it. Because when we learn to cultivate right intention and align with it, we're doing justice for our own lives, but we're also showing an example for the people around us how to live an intentful and therefore a meaningful existence. God, I feel so passionate about this today. Anyway, it started off on one subject. I hope I haven't offended anybody. My intent is not to say that don't fast, give up fasting on Ekadashi or any other holy day. That's not my intent. My intent is how can we refine and purify our intention to make it align for our highest good, and hopefully by extension for those around us. Anyway, if it's of value, feel free to leave some comments. I'm a student of life. I'm also learning. Ain't that the truth? All right. Well, I'm going to wish all of you a wonderful next few days ahead. There's some big astrological things happening, if you are to believe it, around the 8th of April, with NASA sending 3 rockets into space, the CERN nuclear fission generator doing a huge event on that day, CERN, the CERN in Europe. Various astrologers talking about the solar eclipse and what may happen. Religions talking about things. Astronomers talking about a huge comet called the Devil's Comet coming. A lot of interesting things, and a lot of my people who are in the space of spirituality, New Age, conscious living, etc., a lot of them feel rocked and perturbed. And I say, if you are one of them, or even if you're not, I say, what is your intent? We are the architects of our destiny. What is it that we can do to align our intention for our highest good? Regardless of all these astrological, astronomical, so-called negative factors that are happening around the 8th of April, what can we do to align our intention to bring about our highest good, and then hold it? Align and then hold. I'll leave it there. There's so much to say. Peace out.